I almost forgot what the soundtrack and the theme song for the show really sounded like. But we are back once again for an episode of Pony Express Radio. What is this? Pete's sound is reacting to me. This is ridiculous. Either he's the perfect mimic of me, the perfect co-host, or oh, there we go. I think it's been fixed now. Awesome. Well, we're back for another episode of Pony Express Radio. I'm sure everybody was crying, complaining. There were great woes and gnashing of teeth while we were absent last week, but we were having fun and we were too busy for all of you in the chat. If you know, you know. So, anyway, let's get around to introducing the panel. We'll go through all of our shillings and then we'll go into the various stories of the week. I'm joined once again by my good friend, Mr. Pete Q. How are you, sir?
Doing good. Doing good. Happy to be here.
Yes. Always a pleasure to speak with you, of course. And we are joined tonight by none other than Mr. Raging Mandrill. How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm good. Good. Hanging in there like usual.
Yeah, just hanging out. No chimping out, of course. Not from our favorite simian correspondent. But
don't speak too soon. Don't speak too
soon. Don't worry, we'll get there. We have a couple stories to get into. And we are joined by Mr. Christopher Sandbatch as well tonight. How are you, my friend?
How's everybody doing?
Doing great. Doing great.
I'm still tired.
You kind of sound it, my friend, but I'm glad that everybody is back home in their.
Was that was that from chasing Bonnaroo babes for a couple days?
That's not fair. So okay,
it's such a wonderful coincidence.
Yeah. So for context, I mean, we had our conference. A lot of us were all in one place over the weekend or whatever. And my luck is I get my flight out is at 8:15 p.m. and but I rode with Charlie to the airport. He had to be there at like noon or some shit like that, which led to me sitting in the Nashville airport for 9 hours. Over the course of that 9 hours, literally when we were pulling up, like we were walking up, and I was like, Charlie kept like making fun of me because like we just walked past like Sandbatch 10 after Sandbatch 10, and I was like, this is like the Grateful Dead are playing or something. And like eventually it came out like Bonnaroo ended, and like every Bonnaroo bitch in the entire world was going through the Nashville airport. So I had to sit there and watch it all.
Front row seat, as it were, which is probably better than most of the sporting events that are going on throughout this country these days. I mean, it's either that or watch like the World Cup. Like who the hell's going to do that? I mean, I appreciate all of our European and Japanese friends who are really big into their soccer, but I just really couldn't be bothered to care at all. Even if America won the thing, I'd be like, oh.
I thought the Knicks won.
That's basketball, American ball.
Yeah, they won the World Cup of basketball.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, they scored a home run. Yeah, so exactly. Anyway, we have some shilling to do over here, of course, because we have to keep the lights on over here at OGC headquarters. So, as ever, everybody, White Boy Summer is literally right around the corner. I'm pretty sure this is the first weekend of summer that's coming up right here officially, right? So if you guys need to get in ripped shape for White Boy Summer, please head on over to Axios Remote Fitness and Coaching, where our boys will get you shredded. You'll getting all those Bonnaroo babes knocking on your door in no time. While you guys are at it, you need to keep your caffeine fix in order. Head on over to Fox & Sons Coffee. Fox & Sons, good friend of the show. Many of you coffee drinkers out there have given me fantastic reviews of Fox & Sons Coffee, link down below. While you guys are at it, because we here at the OGC are fans of Big Tobacco, and I must say, I was very, very displeased with the amount of competitor nicotine pouches that I saw at the conference. I was taking notes, I was writing down names, and you will be screened next year for bringing various nicotine pouches that are taken via suppository. So head on over to Alp nicotine pouches. They truly are like my favorite. I mean, just like the texture of the pouch and the way it actually sits in your mouth, I personally prefer it way better than any of the competitor brands. So Alp gets me through tax season, and it can get you through your workday as well. Head on over to Alp nicotine pouches. While you guys are at it, if you want to be looking suave and amazing compared to all the other goons that are going around various other right-wing events or circles. You guys need to have your MS Vendrillo suits. All right. Sam Batch, I don't know if you ever did you have an opportunity to take a look at Mr. Vendrillo's wares at the conference? Seems like something you might have some interest in. Well,
Yeah, no, I love that kind of work, but he's like way outside my normal range. I'm too abusive to clothing to buy something that nice. And to be like totally clear, that dude makes like it's bespoke is the category.
yeah, indeed. You can immediately tell who's wearing a Vendrillo suit and who isn't. I mean, it took me 2 days to get fitted for mine at this conference just because I was getting pulled off in the middle of taking my measurements and everything. It's like, oh, you got to go to do this. It's like, okay. And I just came up to him like 10-minute blocks. It's like, okay, where'd we leave off? So, but yes, be sure to get yourself a Vendrillo suit. And then while you're at it, please support our good friend, Mr. George Bagby, who is doing some amazing work over at American Spirits. He is working tirelessly to bring old history books back into print from the 19th and 20th century. So please head on over to Tall Men Books and support our good friend, Mr. Bagby. Alrighty, gentlemen, while we were busy with our conference over the weekend, apparently there were some interesting events going on at the White House. All right, get our blood pumping for the up and coming 250th anniversary of the United States of America is coming up. Our big 250 birthday is here. And the White House had this great big rig, which is interesting because I was actually in D.C. a couple weeks ago and I saw this thing being constructed in front of the White House. I was like, what the hell is this? This can't be part of the new ballroom they're doing or what have you. But no, it was literally just like some Evel Knievel motocross jump that they were building out there, which, I mean, the sport, it ain't exactly for me. I've never really been into like all the motorsports and everything. But you know what? I think it's cool. I don't think anybody else could pull off something quite like this. This is just unapologetically American. No. So what do you guys have to say about this?
I'm a bigger fan of go-kart racing. It would have been awesome if there was just like this gigantic go-kart track. And I'm talking about real go-karts that go like 30, 40 miles an hour.
Yeah, I had one when I was a kid. They don't seem like as common anymore. I don't know why that is.
Oh, when I see one, I'm there. They're just friggin' amazing. But yeah, I mean, monster trucks probably would have been, a lot better.
I think that would have been a little hard to get on the White House lawn. No.
I don't know. If they were just going to do something like this, just go huge. Go as huge as possible.
I want like the Team America, like spoof of this, just like fireworks, explosions, like fear not, Muslim friends. We're here to find terrorists. Just
dude, I am not one of the chuds. Let's put it that way. I mean, I kind of am sometimes, but I'm not one of the chuds. But I have to say that in the greater annals of the 250th anniversary, plans that I've seen so far, this one's pretty cool.
Yeah,
most of them are just like stuff that you'd see on a Keystone Light commercial. This is the most difficult thing you'll see on a Keystone Light commercial.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly beats like the ridiculous ideas that we're going to have like some musical party with various like has-been singers. It's like, oh yeah, I really want Vanilla Ice.
Once you put Vanilla Ice and Milli Vanilli on the same billing, you can never recover from that. Like the initiative is gone. Sorry.
It's so wild. But well. They didn't just have a bunch of motocross sports out there. They actually had the UFC come onto the White House lawn and have full knock 'em dead, beat the shit out of each other fights. People are making the comparisons to Rome, right? Well, we're having gladiatorial fights right on the White House lawn, man. So how about that? I mean, again, like, I could have an appreciation for like the actual fighting, and combat sports in general. I mean, I've got my own problems with the UFC. I'm sure many people do for a number of reasons. But you know what? Again, like I think it's interesting. I think it's neat. Now, what I will say is that my favorite thing that they've showed off from this is that they are having a weeks-long like what is it? Like a history of the American rodeo, and there's going to be a bunch of horses and cattle, and I guess they're going to televise, like an actual rodeo where people are, trying to stay on the bulls and everything. That I think is just the most Americana thing you could do with this. I mean, everybody knows.
Yeah, that's good. See, it's got an element of reflection and taste.
Mm-hmm.
There's even possibly a didactic element. I'm always looking for things to like pull things towards, a referential standard, instead of like be like a. I mean, I guess if Carnival Barker is your routine, that's kind of what that is, the unified aesthetic. I don't know.
Now, I'm sure there's no way they could do this because there's bound to be like so many security things going on with this. But Sam Batch or any of the other guys, have you guys ever seen, in addition to like the barrel racing and the rodeo stuff that they do at these events, but the guys like do like the cowboy action shooting, they take out a 6-shooter and shoot a bunch of balloons around the course as they're riding about. I mean, that would just be really awesome. I'm sure there's no way that they will actually allow guns, this close like the White House lawn that aren't just, firmly attached to Secret Service people. But, that again, that would be something that would be really neat. I'll say this too. I mean, again, we prefaced this when we were talking about this topic earlier. It's like, listen, not all this stuff is exactly like our thing, right? Like motocross, I don't really know much about. UFC, I kind of got some problems with it, but what have you. But the one thing I can't stand is some people just like completely shitting on this. It's like, oh, we got to go return to normalcy of politics and stuff. It's like, okay, fucking Mike Pence just walked in, apparently. The sacredness of the White House lawn now while we're blowing up children in Iran. It's like, come on, guys. It's just ridiculous to be counter-signaling this in some way that some of our guys have been. I mean, it might not necessarily be your thing, but I think it's generally cool. And it's certainly way better than what we would have gotten if, God, can you fucking imagine if Kamala Harris was president right now? Like, maybe they would have done like a reenactment of a slave auction, on the White House lawn or something, which might have been accidentally based.
Oh, I mean,
wait a second, hold on. That sounds like I've heard worse ideas than reenact a slave auction.
No, but when the bread is expensive and filled with goy slop and seed oils, you got the circuses better be good. That's all I'm saying on this topic.
Yeah. Anybody else got any opinions on some of the characters who are shooting down the chuds for liking this stuff? I mean, I will say this, right? When we were at the after party, I was walking downstairs because I heard all this noise and like chanting of USA. I'm like, what the fuck is going on down there? So I walked downstairs and see everybody crowded around the TV as one of these UFC guys, I guess, beat the shit out of a Canadian or something, and then was like, yeah, USA, let's go. And it was like, okay, I'm just gonna grab my Madeira and I'm gonna go back upstairs and smoke my cigar. You guys have fun, man. And of course, it was like,
look, here's my thing on the chuds. Here's my thing on the chuds. I don't blame the chuds, but like ideally, I'm not a class analysis guy. Okay, I think what all of the anti-chud guys are really onto is that there's not really a top layer of events for this 250th anniversary. You know what I mean? There's nothing to appease the non-chuds. And we do, in fact, have some non-chuds. Now, I also believe that a lot of the non-chuddery is resentment on the part of chuds who imagine themselves as things other than chuds. Do you see where I'm going with this? You can do the class analysis all the way up and down, but I do think it would have been nice to get some higher brow events.
Yeah, that's probably fair. I mean, I don't know, what would you really do? For like
I think sword swallowers,
belly dancers. We just have a rand ship over some like captives or
sword
something.
Swallowers means it means something else in DC, Pete.
Yeah, those.
I'll tell you what was cool. There's a thing going, but here we go. Here's the thing. There's a thing going around now. It's called the tall ships, and if you're like in the Gulf Coast region, you've probably been bombarded with advertisements for it. They started in New Orleans. It's got 7 big, huge, tall sailing ships, and they're unfortunately none of them are American. But it would have been cool if we could, like, Navy stuff is cool. We should be doing. We should like just have the Navy shoot guns everywhere. You know.
Yeah, I mean, like, how cool would it be if they sailed one of the vintage or one of the old, I don't know, Clausenton would be able to tell me more about this, but like one of the frigates, from like the colonial period, sailed it, at the head of the Potomac and had like a cannon volley or something. That'd be pretty cool. Or I don't know, like a Revolutionary War reenactment or something like that. I don't know, something colonial, some colonial Americana would be really neat with this as well. But I don't know, it's it goes into one of the themes throughout Prudentialist's talk and many others at the conference was, the what America 250 really means. And the conclusion that many people came to was like, well, yes, a lot of people aren't as excited as they were in the 70s when we had the 200-year anniversary. There's many reasons for that, namely that the fact that there's actually fewer Americans in the country, both in number and as a proportion of the population than there were in 1970. Well, and just the general vibe and zeitgeist of the country as well. It's like, yeah, things are kind of bad here, so obviously people aren't too excited about, America 250 or what have you. But really the conclusion that many people had is that, it's up to us to care about it. The general culture isn't going to care about it, but each of us can, in our own little ways, in our own parts of the country, find a way to care, because 250, it is a big deal. Our history is something worth preserving. Our culture is something worth fighting for. Our traditions are worth holding on to. And it falls onto each and every one of us. We weren't asked to carry this torch, but it's the torch that has been thrust upon us, and it's our job. So we could do it in a myriad of ways. I'm sure everybody's local historical societies have a lot that our guys could contribute to it. So
I think a lot of people were just upset because it's coming at a time when you're in a war that you shouldn't be in, and it was nice to announce the what we're going to talk about on that day and everything. But there's a lot of people who are really still upset about this whole thing. So you know, and cut them some slack. It's you know I think a lot of people would look at like I know it's not on the grand scale of the same. I know it's not apples to apples, but during World War II you wouldn't have done something like this. So yeah, I think that lends itself a little bit to, like, if you're gonna do something more to like honor the troops or something like that, be it about that and not about like the octagon, or you know some can see the octagon as being like dystopian. So yeah, I mean, yeah, that's it. I'm not trying to make. I mean, really, I'm just neutral on the whole thing. But I can see both sides of people wanting to be like, yeah, why not, and everything, and there's some people being like, we're fighting. There's people dying right now, so
yeah, I mean, there's an argument to be made. It's like, hey, we got more important things to do and such. But I mean, I will say this, the chuds, the American lower white middle class and lower class have just been stomped on for so long by the people in charge. And you understand why these people just back Donald Trump. Is something we talked about since 2016, 2020, 2024 elections, is that that famous line, right? It's like, they're not after me, they're after you, and I'm in the way. It's like like it or not, Trump knows how to court these chuds, and he puts on a great show for them. And to be honest, like, uh, we shouldn't really do this thing where, even though like some people in our thing are like a little bit more highbrow, and we talk about like vanguardism and people aren't chuds. Sam Batch himself has described himself as not one. I'm sure many people have as well. It's like these people still are in our thing. We have to be like, we love our chuds, don't we, guys? Well, somebody's got to watch out for these people, and it certainly isn't going to be the new various shades of diversity that are coming into the country. So, Well, why don't we just jump into the main story of the evening? So we kind of had this announcement over the weekend, and there were some whisperings in the wind that, hey, well, this peace deal with Iran is coming soon. I mean, I know we've heard this 25, 30, 40 times that, the peace is right around the corner. Conveniently, it was done right on a Thursday and a Friday, every one of these announcements, right as the markets are about to close. So, come Monday, we don't want to see a crash or anything like that. So interesting here in this picture, President Trump meeting with the representative from St. Louis, Radical Liberation. Oh, I'm sorry. That's the Islamic Republic of Iran. It's over there on the right. So,
Oh man, shots fired.
especially after Stephen's speech over the weekend. But I just thought it was funny. It's like
He's a dead ringer. I mean, what's the problem?
Really is. Anyway,
I mean, realize what you're saying here too. That might upset some of the chuds. You're saying that the Iranians that the head of Iran is white. So,
that's probably the spiciest take so far on the stream.
Well, anyway, so there were some whispers going around that peace was finally going to be had in Iran, and we didn't really get too many details of the actual paperwork of this until a few days after this event. But immediately we saw the great wailing and the gnashing of teeth and the calls from Donald Trump as a betrayer, and he's pussying out and he's being a weakling, and we need to go in and finish the job right now from the various Israel First neocons that are all throughout Fox News, all throughout the, in the White House these days, in the Pentagon, all the usual suspects on Twitter. But I must say there are a couple characters who have very, very noticeably changed their tune on the whole Iran war in the last 48 hours. Wonder what that's all about. You guys are really gung-ho about it and everything for months as soon as the Trump administration went into it. But now you're like, guys, now it's time to really wrap up this war. Even though a week ago you were calling us all panicans for saying we should end this fucking war, you fucking losers. Anyway, so great gnashing of teeth from the various neocon people saying this is ridiculous and there's absolutely no way that the United States can agree to this, because essentially, I mean, we can go through some of the finer points of this deal here. So $300 billion of unfrozen Iranian assets are to be returned to the Iranians. This has been money that was originally owed to the Republic of Iran, some of this money dating all the way back to the 70s and the 80s. Well, there's just been locked up in various accounts all throughout the entire world. God knows what that money is.
I hate to interrupt, but I've been reliably informed that no, this was money that was printed in pallets of cash. Oh, never mind.
So the Iranians are going to get some money back. All the sanctions on their oil are to be removed. All the hostilities are to be removed. The blockades and the minings of the Strait of Hormuz by both sides are to cease. There's to be complete peace within the region, including, ding, 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 one certain conflict that's going on in Lebanon, which, of course, the Israelis always were willing to bring a crisis to their benefit. Ever since the beginning of the Iran war, have decided to expand their territory and move into southern Lebanon, including bombing Beirut, the largest city in Lebanon, no doubt killing hundreds, if not thousands of people in every one of these strikes. So Israel, always looking to expand their territory for the Greater Israel Project, murdering thousands of women and children in Gaza, probably could be well over hundreds of thousands at this point for all that we know. And Iran wants the fighting to cease in Lebanon, not just itself. And naturally, you could think that the Israelis this didn't really sit well with them. This didn't sit well with Ben Shapiro, didn't sit well with Mark Levin, didn't sit well with any of these usual suspects. Yes, early life check on all of them. So just as this deal is finally to be announced, apparently the signatures were wet on the ink yesterday, and today the Israelis have once again bombed Lebanon. The reports are now coming in that Iran has removed its negotiating team that was supposed to meet in Switzerland over the next couple of days to actually sign the paper. They have removed them. They have brought them back. So I guess we are now in peace limbo once again here. And basically, this just comes down to the same thing we've been saying literally since the start of this war. This war will only end if the Israelis are brought to heel. And that's it. That's all it comes down to. America finally has to stand up to Israel and say, you're done. You're not getting any more weapons. You're not getting any more funding. You're not getting any more of our support. It's over. You need to stop. And this is really like it's make or break for this relationship with America and Israel. So thoughts, gentlemen?
one of the you know, I mean, it's very obvious that Hezbollah is a proxy of Iran, and a lot of people who don't understand that the United States is controlled by Israel and believe that Israel is a proxy of the United States would be like, oh well, the maybe Iran is seeing that that the United States is in control of Israel. Well, why aren't they stopping it from doing this? Israel's not that stupid. I mean, Iran's not that stupid. What they're doing now is their goal in doing this, in my opinion, is to get the United States to just absolutely divorce themselves from Israel. And I don't think that that's something that Trump wants. I think Trump wants out of this war. I'm 100% believe he wants out of this war, and I'm not going to counter signal him for that. Getting out of this war weakens Israel, and that's what I want to see. And it also strengthens Iran, and a stronger Iran weakens Israel. So, you know, I think that Iran just knows that the only way that this gets solved is that the United States government is going to have to step up and go, no, Israel, you are the junior partner in this. You don't exist without us. You're a welfare whore. You're basically no different than like blacks in the ghetto living off of the government. So I mean, I think that's where this is. I think that Iran may not cease. Maybe they won't fuck with us so much in the area, but I don't think they're going to cease um, or or basically capitulate to all of these demands, which there really aren't a lot of demands for that that Iran has to carry out on their own. Um, I think they want to see they're pushing to. Let me put it this way: if you are somebody who wants to see the United States divorced from Israel, then you know I wouldn't. I wouldn't counter signal Iran nor Trump at this point.
Yeah, totally agree.
Trump wants out, and Israel wants the United States divorced from wants Israel to be no longer control the United States. So, I want both of those.
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious that Iran is trying to push the wedge here between the two, which I'm totally fine with. All of us are totally fine with. Like, please, like, push this wedge even further. Make it force it to come to the point where Donald Trump basically has to choose between backing Israel or the global economy. Okay, continue to push that wedge, Iran. I totally support that. Let's do it. I don't want Israelis in control of my country anymore. Why would I counter signal this? Trump wants to get out. All of us could sit here and gloat and say, oh, well, we never should have gotten into this war in the first place, which is absolutely obvious. We all know this, but what is the point of saying that at this point when we're 6 months into this thing? And I just want this thing to be over with. I want this thing to be over with so we can actually get back to focusing on real issues, okay? The Democrats regaining control of this country is way more of a threat to all of us than if Iran had an entire, if they had hundreds of nukes, the Democrats being in charge.
Yeah, that was something I was telling my wife this morning. I was saying that this money that they want back that we've taken from them, tell them no, you're not getting it back. How about we trade you 5 nukes for it, and and we'll give you platforms, but the platforms only go 985 miles, which just happens to be the distance between Tehran and Tel Aviv.
It's
well, if I could pipe up here, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
So one of the things I was thinking about earlier today was, formally Trump is commander in chief. He's got control of the military and all of that, but he doesn't have congressional authority for the war. So and I know this is a bit of congressional proceduralism, and nobody gives a fuck about any of that. But formally, technically, this is not a war that Trump can sustain for forever. And unless you're willing to sell this war, which you didn't, right? Sorry, we got kind of arm twisted into it, and there was no propaganda push. There was no, like, everybody who's alive and remembers watching TV around 2001 and 2003 knows what kind of a propaganda push I'm talking about. That's what that would and should have looked like.
It really is crazy in hindsight that it took them 2 years of full-blown propaganda to prime the United States population to go into war in the Middle East. It's like the World Trade Center exploded, 3,000 people died. There was an attack on the Pentagon, the worst attack on American soil since Pearl Harbor, and they still needed 2 years to prime everybody to, like, oh, we're going to go in and we're going to go and get them. It's like with this war, it was like there was just literally none of that whatsoever.
There's no pretext whatsoever. Yeah. Absolutely none. And so the problem with there being no pretext is you have no officially stated reason why you're there. You're not fighting for an objective that can't be attained through peaceable means, right? And so the outcome is most likely going to be status quo antebellum, with some modifications. Like Iran's probably going to charge fees for all of that shit and whatever. But yeah, it's just, this is an L, right? And this is an L that didn't have to happen, but now it's happened. Unless you're going to say, all right, I'm going to push the Navy through the strait in an attempt to launch amphibious forces and launch a ground invasion to follow up with that. Well, you're kind of out of options on the table. You can keep the blockade up, but it's just going to, and this is where everybody watching American Spirits might actually help. You should go watch the American Spirits episode on the naval affairs, right? On naval affairs. You should go watch the ones with Bagby and Mr. Quinn did on the influence of sea power on history by Alfred Thayer Mahan. That is an excellent book and an excellent work, and you should all go read it because it explains in precise detail that geography does matter, and geographical leverage, if you are a nation even if you're not formally in control, but you're effectively in control militarily of the strait, that is incredible, right? That's, the classic, military formula that, sea warships cannot overcome land-based fortifications still largely holds true in the age of air power and drones. And you blew up all of Iran's surface vessels, but they still have a great deal of air power and they're still drones, and so you can't go into the strait without risking a high value target getting blown up.
Yeah, it's like it doesn't even matter at this point. We could blow up all of their ships, but all they need is a drone that costs a couple $1,000s, and they fly it right into one of our ships, and there you go. There's $1 billion. I don't even know how much some of these aircraft carriers cost. I'm assuming it's more in the billions, but there you go.
Tens of billions.
Yeah. There you go. So just the balance of power here is just ridiculous. The cost of doing business for Iran to sink one of these ships is virtually nothing compared to the United States. Can you imagine the PR backlash in the entire world if one of America's carriers is sunk by just like a couple of drones? All for defending what? The Strait of Hormuz, which the American people weren't primed for. Why the fuck are we there in the first place? I thought Trump was not supposed to start a new war. So I thought he was supposed to get out in the Middle East. And now you look at this deal, which, when people like Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin say, oh, this deal is, virtually nothing for America, they're right. They are right in the sense that, Iran basically gets everything it wants. They get their money back that's been held in various accounts all throughout the entire world. They get to reopen the Strait of Hormuz basically on their terms. They say they're not going to toll it, which I guess is like the only, real win for the United States in this whole thing. And Iran says that they are not going to enrich uranium, which, I mean, if I was them, I would just start doing it literally immediately, because it's been proven at this point that we can't, number one, stop them from doing it in any real sense. We could blow up a couple facilities and stuff, but, we can't actually go in there and physically take their uranium. And it's been, it just shows that when you're a country like North Korea that actually has missiles, like, people aren't going to fuck with you in this way. So all the incentives are there for them to just go right back to enriching uranium right after this anyway. And quite frankly, Iran is in a way stronger position than they were before this war, despite the fact that we blew up the majority of their senior leadership. We blew up almost all of their ships and a bunch of their military equipment. but it doesn't matter. And everybody who at the start of this war was saying that exact same thing. It's like the only way we could really destroy Iran is if we launch a ground invasion, and a ground invasion is going to cost tens of thousands of lives, and the American people aren't up for that. So now you're caught in a quagmire, and all the neocons who pushed us into this war, who went in and sided with Israel firsters, and we're all gung-ho about how, oh, we could just have another quick regime change war. We're going to be in and out guys just like Venezuela. And now these guys get to eat crow, and you get to suck it. It's like, fuck you, Mark Levin. You're one of these losers that brought us into this war in the first place, and now you get to eat shit, okay? We're not listening to you people anymore. We're getting out of this war, and if Israel's left out to dry, great. You know what would be awesome? America should just cut Israel off, let the chips fall where they may, and just trot into the next United Nations meeting and just say, okay, guys, well, now that is all over, maybe let's just take a mulligan and we can restart, and now everything can get back to business as usual now that we have this complete psychopathic country out of the way. Oh, my God. If they truly do a clean break from Israel right here, I personally will make sure I vote for Republicans in the midterms, and I will tell everybody I know to do the same. That really should be the line that people say. It's like, I will actually get out and vote in the midterms if we leave Israel out to dry and we're done with all these neocon foreign wars. Now, don't counter-signal getting out of this war. Don't counter-signal Iran right now. We just want this wedge finally pushed so that people like us might actually get something out of this conflict. We didn't want this war to begin with. Too many Americans died. All of us have been paying for it at the gas pump and in many other cost of living issues. But if it gets us to break away from Israel at the end of this, let's do it.
Now, I have to say, RedHawk, there are some stipulations here. So if hypothetically the United States, and let's just run a scenario, basically, if you wanted to actually do a ground invasion, that would require several logistical steps before you could even attempt it. And what I mean is logistical steps politically at home first in terms of leadership and messaging. So in addition to actually drumming up the war, you're also going to have a changeover in, if not in Trump, but you'd see changes in cabinet positions. You'd see generals getting shifted out pretty rapidly. Usually when there's a war, and the reason why you do this is because you have leadership which either is promoted on the basis of competency but not necessarily loyalty, or you have what I would call the guts issue, right? You want somebody who's a bit of a hard nose kind of person. I hesitate to use the word hardliner in this context, but that is what you're looking for. You're looking for somebody who's actually willing to prosecute the war if it is going to be an extended period of shit, basically. You're not going to have somebody who never wanted to fight in the first place. Now, so that's the first thing. And then the second thing is you'd have to see a gigantic cutting off in salami politics fashion of the voices who are against the war. So neither have we seen either. We've seen none of these. So given the fact that has not happened yet and we have seen no indications to the contrary, I think we're good.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a long shot, for sure. Never won't hear any disagreements from me on that one. Sam Batch, what do you think about all of this, if you have anything? Oh, he's stepped away for a moment. So, I mean...
Who the hell was unmuted? Okay.
Many such cases.
Yeah, well, I don't really have much to say on that. You all are much better with that sort of thing than I am anyway.
Well, there you have it. Sam
I
Batch
can't be an expert on everything, you know?
Oh, no, Sam Batch, you were doing the true American thing and just focusing on what occurs in our own borders. So what could be more American than that? So, I mean, I guess we're going to have to wait and see on this one. You know, I mean, Trump has voiced it's certainly not a coincidence that as this deal was being rolled out in the last 10 days to 2 weeks, we were hearing whispers and leaks from Axios and other reports saying Donald Trump has been having very, very angry calls with Benjamin Netanyahu, calling the guy fucking crazy. You guys are insane. You guys need to stop all of this stuff. Donald Trump was talking about how Israel is using too hard of a touch on like some press report today. I think it was at the G7 today or something. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chad. It was at something he was at. But the most interesting part is JD Vance is just going full anti-Israel attack dog basically today, and all the pressers. He's just saying, no, you guys are the junior partner in this relationship. America says we want out. You guys need to stop blowing up Lebanon, which never attacked you, yada, yada, yada. So, good for JD Vance. He stayed interestingly very quiet ever since the start of this whole war, and now is being wheeled out of the White House to go on the attack. So that's an interesting sign. But again, the same that the true situation with this war is the same as it's always been. It's the same as when it was on March 1st as it is today on what is today, June 18th. Yeah, tomorrow we got June Queef or whatever the fuck is tomorrow. So anyway, the United States needs to hold Israel to account. That's truly the only way this war is going to go anywhere. Same as the day it kicked off.
I mean, as much as I'm enjoying the schadenfreude of watching these Jews vetch all over Twitter and Mark Levin just having a complete meltdown and Ben Shapiro is just, I mean, this guy. Oh man,
yeah, they're hysterical. It's great.
I literally, there's a room at Gitmo. I want Ben Shapiro in for the rest of his life. But yeah, it just, if they stop, then you'll know something's up. But I mean, basically, like I said in the beginning, Iran is pushing them towards saying, look, you just can't support them anymore. Leave them be, and we'll take care of it. And I believe them.
I mean, I did have a bit on this, and before anybody gets the idea that the Jews are quieting down, I have to remember also that this coincides with the strike of the northern Jews against Moscow. And they're apparently, it's now relatively common for the Ukrainian state to just be bombing targets in Moscow, and that's new. And you have to Ukraine and Israel are linked at the hip,
Yeah, I wonder what's the common factor between all of these people, Sam Batch. It's a mystery. But
was I not supposed to say that? I'm sorry.
No, not at all. Not at all.
No,
do you know this show, sir?
What's interesting is my friend Mike Ferris, who's been on PER before. I'll be on his show tomorrow. He always likes to say he just hates the word hope, and then Michael Yon says, hope is not a strategy. Well, there is no strategy while we're sitting here and talking about this. So if you're just commenting online and you're like, well, this is just for the midterms and well, I mean, good. Okay, so what? At least if it fucking stops before the midterms, there's a chance there's a chance they might not want to restart it. Yeah, I mean, you commenting on the social media, you have no control over this. Us commenting on this show, we have no control over this. Stop pretending like your opinion means anything. My opinion means nothing in this. I'm just here to talk about it because, I want to see Israel completely demolished. So my hope is that something gets led to that point where they are so destroyed that the United States, they can't even have power over the United States anymore. The diaspora billionaires will still be doing their thing with porn and the universities, and we'll have to deal with that. But the Israel existing is a huge. It's one of their main tools that they use to destroy this country. So let's hope and pray, because none of us commenting have any control over this.
There's a term we have in the manosphere, and it goes to the effect of, would you rather be happy, would you rather be right? Okay. And it's like, all of us here, we could be the people who like to take a victory lap and say that, oh, Trump is a big meanie and a big liar, and look what they're saying to get out of this war. This is ridiculous. They're blatantly lying to the American people. This is actually a huge loss. America just got their asses handed to them and stuff like this. It's like, oh, okay, man, like maybe that is true. Okay, maybe, but what does that actually gain you by going out, opening your mouth, bloviating on Twitter, shitting all over this situation that obviously works in our favor? It's like, this is a good thing. Having America no longer in this war is a good thing for a multitude of reasons, especially for people like us. Okay, having the wedge driven between the United States and Israel is a good thing for us. And I don't really care if Donald Trump has to try and save face a little bit on this one, saying this is the greatest deal in the history of deals or whatever. We all know it's bullshit. We all know it's nonsense. But who cares? I'm totally fine. If it gets us one step closer to ending this war, getting back to domestic issues, and one step closer to finally unshackling us from this great big millstone that is the state of Israel, then I'm all for it. So I don't care. Tell whatever lies you have to on this one, Mr. President, but just get us out of this war and get us away from the Israelis.
Yeah, that's the real answer. Like, you try to run that through a bullshit filter, and there's like no way. It's like, yeah, whatever. You don't really care about I don't really care about the country saving face. It's like, okay, we fucked that one up. Oh yeah, remember we just took Venezuela too. You really need to pay attention to that.
It's literally what Joe Kent has said since he stepped down. The only way out of this is we have to just completely cut off the Israelis. And, that's none of us have any control over that. All we can do is hope that it happens. And, I'm, like I said, I'm not going to sit here and counter signal. I mean, Trump got us into this because he followed, okay, now get us out. That's it. I mean, just get us out. I mean, I'm not the only one. I mean, unless everybody thinks this is complete kayfabe and all of this is an act. I mean, and anyone who says that is just, they literally, I mean, that's like 80 IQ shit. I mean, you're literally no different than a non at that point. When he's been saying things lately, and he had this one talk where Letnick and Rubio were behind him, and you could just see what some of the stuff that he was saying. You could just look at their faces. They couldn't hide it. They weren't acting. At one point, he said something about, how Israel has to do this on their own, and Letnick shook his head.
But like against anybody who's like, this is all an act, what I would say to you is that you're grossly overestimating the amount of effort it takes to psyop most of the population.
Yeah, that's what's so crazy about this. It's like, guys, they literally got the entire population of the planet to put a cloth mask over their face for years. Okay, you don't need to come up with these like crazy 4D 7-degree degrees of hungry hippos 4D chess here to account for the movements of people in power.
They know exactly what percentage of the population they need to convince, and they're not too worried about you and your podcast.
Yeah, exactly. It's like when Charlemagne talks about the Trump Defense Force. It's like, listen here, the reason Republicans can't pass the SAVE Act is because, me with my 37 follower account haven't tweeted hard enough. But anyway, so well, there we go. There's the Donald. Yeah, G7. It was at the G7. I was right. Yeah, he was basically just talking about the speech that, hey, Israel is using too hard of a hand here, especially as it relates to Gaza. So I mean, the writing is just so on the wall for these people at this point, man. I mean, the only country left in the entire planet that supports Israel is the United States. And as soon as the big swinging dick USA, Big Brother, is out of the way here, Israel is just going to be entirely fucked. I mean, there's a small little guy that hangs out with his frat bros, and he's the one that gets in their faces because, he knows he's got his buddies backing him up. Well, sometimes you got to just let that guy get punched in the fucking face so he learns a lesson. And this is just what needs to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth pointing out that, inside the United States, Jewish funding has been moving from Democrats all the way over to Republicans because they perceive the Democrats have abandoned Israeli interests. Trump moving back the other way now means they don't really have anywhere to go except Congress.
And Congress it has basically taken themselves out of the game. They don't try to pass any laws. They don't try to do anything. I mean, if you see them making a push to get back in the game, and hey, we need to do this, we need to do that, you can bet who's pulling their strings.
Well, interesting things lie ahead in the next week. I'm sure that there will be crazy new developments by the time we do this show next week. Maybe we'll get Hunger, our hummus correspondent, to come on next week and tell us what the situation is like, because Israel, it's just so obvious that Israel has no reason to stop. They just absolutely have to go for it now. They're not going to get another chance to ethnically cleanse Gaza, move into Lebanon. This is just the last chance they're going to have.
They've killed 1,000 people in Gaza in the last week. I mean, they're fucking maniacs, man. They just need to be stopped at this point, because people can say, oh, well, I don't care about people in Gaza. Yeah, well, I mean, we get blamed for that shit.
Yeah.
It's not our fault. It's not, you're and my fault, anybody in the chat's fault, anybody who's listening's fault. But we get blamed for that shit, and the blowback comes hard.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, Pete, you've talked about this. Plenty of other people have talked about this, but you know what, man? Like, it's just bad. I don't want my tax dollars going to blowing up women and kids. And you could say, oh, well, they're brown, so who really cares? It's like, well, dude, we're not them, so let's not become them. Okay.
It's fucked up for the soul, man.
Yeah,
it's fucked up for the soul.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like people say, when you talk about abortion and how many abortions have happened, and then people will like talk about like, well, how many percentage of those abortions were black? I'm like, yeah, I don't care, man. That you're cursed. If you have that in your fucking land, you're cursed.
There are other solutions to our problems than murdering children in the womb. Okay. There are plenty of other things we can do to fix all of our countries that don't require us murdering millions of women and children. Okay. Like and if you want to call people like a cuck and, all this other nonsense and say, oh, you guys love brown people, you guys are third worlders or what have you. It's like, dude, come on, man. Like, just see some of the pictures and some of the absolute horrors that are going on in Gaza. Okay. And that's all done because the United States backs Israel. All of it is.
How quickly do you think Iran, Iran is basically willing to fight and die to the last person. How much worse is it that you like blew up a fucking school of kids, and not only that you blew it up, but then you double tapped it, and then you fucking triple tapped it? That's some fucked up shit, man. I mean, that's stuff that that's like some fucking Bolshevik level shit.
Speaking of the school that got blown up, I'm sorry, Kyle.
Go ahead, Sandy.
Though it was sort of interesting to me that when the Iran war started, Anthropic blew up in the news cycle. You know what I mean? And then they blew up in the news cycle again right here at the end of it. And I wonder if there's any significance to that.
I mean, you're more up to news in that world than I am, so I trust your opinion on that.
I mean, they're in the middle of a civil war with the government over, dude, Trump administration just has wars everywhere. But I'm glad this one's ending.
Yeah, good point. So, I mean, essentially, this couldn't go on any longer. This war was deeply unpopular at home in the United States, except for boomer conservatives. Okay, those are the only people who had a positive view of this. The economy is really taking a hammering from this war, and the fact that even one American soldier died, is too much for this conflict that was done at the behest of Israel. Okay, the neocons and the Israel lobby were lying to Trump right from the very beginning, saying, "Oh, this could just be in and out, just like it was in Venezuela. We can go in, blow up a couple people, and then everything's going to be great. We're going to take the oil," or whatever the hell they were telling Trump in the back room. It's obvious that Trump has been looking for an exit for this for a long time, and negotiations have constantly been, stopped, destroyed, delayed by the Israelis. And enough is enough. And now comes what could potentially be the biggest geopolitical move, certainly in our lifetime, is the United States going to unshackle from Israel? And the Israelis are. It all comes down basically to President Trump at this point in his cabinet as to what they're going to do, because the Israelis aren't going to stop. They're going to continue attacking Lebanon. They're going to continue attacking Iran. They're going to do whatever it is that they're going to do because they just literally cannot help themselves. They are just absolute maniacal people, and they will not stop. So, and because they're not going to stop, that means other people in the region are going to counterattack. And once the United States takes the gloves off and just says, "Oh, okay, we're leaving them be," then Israel's going to be left to its fate. And all of the media figures over here will say like Trump is the one that betrayed the Jewish people, and it's the next Holocaust that's coming in because Trump yada yada this and yada yada that. It's like, steal your hearts, boys. Steal your hearts.
Well, it's just, I mean, if they say that, it's just like it's all there. They always tell you what happened, but they never tell you why it happened.
Speaking of the Holocaust, I think it's very interesting that should the Israelis decide that, well, shit, we're now in a situation where America's trying to back out and we just need to maximize our territorial gains right now while the getting is still good. I think there's every possibility that whatever remaining support on the left politically is going to just totally dry up, right? This is going to destroy the Jewish victim narrative. And the reason why I say that is, I mentioned this on Academic Agents channel probably about a year and a half ago, and there's it's almost like there's a moral credit and debit system in the eyes of the normie. It's like, everybody gets one almost, so if you had a heckin' genocide done to you at some point, the numbers total don't really matter. It's about the fact that you did it. And so if you have a credit on your side of the account, and then all of a sudden, you did a genocide. Okay, now those two, your genocide and the genocide that somebody else did to you, now zeroes out, and you start back from square one. And so you're just now a normal people, and you're not the specialist of people.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about this with the breaking down of the post-war narrative and everything, and how a large factor of that is that simply fewer and fewer people who are actually alive in that era are still here today. So this era is moving into the past. It's moving into history. People just don't really have reverence for a lot of these moments. It'd be like people today complaining about like the Mongol hordes or something like that. It's just like nobody does that anymore. And eventually the Halabunga is going to be the exact same thing. But unfortunately for Israel and the Jewish media and organized Jewry as a whole, the Gaza genocide is the most publicized genocide in the history of the planet, mostly because everybody is walking around. It's so funny. When I was sitting down for dinner once, like some Jew came by and said like, "Oh, you should thank Israel for your smartphone because they put in the the microchips for the reason why you have your smartphone."
You should thank Israel for your beeper.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, now it's coming to bite you in the ass. Okay, and this is going to be televised and kept for the established record literally for forever. You guys genocide an entire group of people who were already primed by all the various populations in the West to be victims of your depravity, and it's just on every social media platform, and it's never going to go away. Israel is going to be when the dust finally settles on this, and people finally, the history books are written or what have you, of how many people were actually killed in this and how many loved ones were lost and how much damage. And when it really, really decides to get publicized from all the various people, it's like, you guys are done. It's just over. Well, and the last thing I'll say on this topic, then we'll move on to something which could potentially be, a little bit more interesting, is that, I forgot what I was going to say. I'm rambling so much. I just want Israel gone. Oh, there we go. Came right back at me. When an animal is cornered, that's when it's at its most deadly. So people know about the very sketchy and interesting situations that occurred around September 11th as it relates to a certain group of people. I would not be surprised at all to see some kind of attack around the 4th of July this year. And conveniently, the Iranians are behind it, just as they're about to get literally everything they ever wanted and more out of this peace deal. They decide to strike the heartland of the United States of America or something. And oh God, by golly, it just looks like a bunch of Shmuel Sheckelsteins were in charge of getting that dirty bomb into the United States. I'm sure that could definitely happen. All right. Moving on to another story, this one from across the pond. All right. So, guys, we got to talk about this. We've talked about this topic a couple of times on this show before, but now it's official. Rupert Lowe has finally published his rape gang inquiry. Okay. So, we had seen bits and pieces of this before when Rupert Lowe originally did this when he was an MP in the last year and released bits and parts of this because what's so crazy is that he had to go and fund this with his own money. You know, an independent businessman, wealthy businessman had to go out and actually finance this rape gang inquiry report because the British government is just totally not interested in the reports of what have happened to, according to this report that Rupert Lowe has published, 250,000 British young women have been raped, trafficked, abused at the hands of foreign Pakistani men. It's just
That's an astonishing number.
Yeah.
I think you remember that there's like 35 million people in England. That's a significant portion of
so it's 250,000 since the 70s. Yeah.
And I think they said that the first real report of it was 1955.
Literally, like the moment they showed up. It's like the first day. The first thing they do, they don't even like turn on the air conditioning in their house. They set up a rape dungeon for little English girls.
Now, I've been reliably informed that the English do not actually have air conditioning.
Yes, that is true. That is true.
No, it's I don't. It almost doesn't seem real. Like you don't want to believe it. Because, I mean, think about it. So 250,000 is Yankee Stadium. New Yankee Stadium sits about 55,000. So 5 times that many. So if you're looking at Yankee Stadium completely full of girls 16 and under, 5 times that many. And some of them have been trafficked into the Middle East. I mean, like never to be seen again. I mean, this is like literally World War II, what they did to the fucking, marching 2 million German men off into Russia, never to be seen again. I mean, this is, I don't know how, I mean, I understand it. I do not believe that the Anglo-Saxon is cucked. I don't understand how they're literally not ripping them to shreds. Just like, I was thinking when I was watching what was happening in Ulster a couple weeks ago, and how they were going house to house, and how that gave new meanings that come out ye black and tans. I don't know how they're just not ripping nuns like in the streets, just tearing them apart with their bare hands. After reading that,
it's the amount of depravity in here is just really, really awful as well. There's reports of women being raped to death. There's reports of animal sex. They sick dogs on some of these women. It's just some of the most horrible things you could imagine in the entire world, just done right under the noses. And the other thing is too is like, I think a lot of Americans really we're spoiled by the fact we have such a giant country. But when you put this in the context of 250,000 people in the UK, a country not even the size of Texas, it's like it's right under people's noses. It's in such a small confined space. It's like it happens everywhere, almost in every single town. As soon as these people move in, they start sexually abusing the young women for obvious racial reasons. Some of them are trafficked into the Middle East. Some of them are murdered. There was one report of one of them being cut up and served into kebab meat. It's like, holy fuck, man. And then you look at the comparison to the story that we just went over, this first one. It's like, how crazy is it over the last 85 years what organized Jewry has been able to get away with exploiting the Hullabunga? And then you look at something like this, and it's like, man, the British have absolutely every right to go door to door and remove every last man, woman, and child foreigner from their country and throwing them into the sea.
Well,
Yeah,
one of the things, I'll let you go in a second, Mandrill. One of the things Dr. Fieldhouse said that made it even worse was this is just a report of 16 and under. This isn't a report of like 17 and 18-year-olds or 19-year-olds.
Yeah, it's not women as a whole either. Yeah. So there's two things. The first thing is the narrative of victim, victimized, and who is the aggressor just simply doesn't make sense anymore, right? The Hallabunga narrative being the primary mythos of the second half of the 20th century is effectively dead, right? And I mentioned it from the side of the left, but also from the side of the right as well. And that is this has been true. Like I kind of, it's hard because a lot of the things that we've been hearing about this stuff have been in the mix for like 10 years or so. Like I remember hearing on the Iconoclasts channel in like 2017 or something, very similar things. But the narrative of who is victimized has ultimately shifted. And there's a sort of, it's over, we're so back style of thing where the recognition has, and this is directly related to the point that you gentlemen were bringing up about why the British have not gone door to door and started actually performing, heckin' acts of violence. The narrative has to sink in, we've been done wrong. We've had an injustice done to us, right? That fact, which has long been prevented from being disseminated by the British state, has to be promulgated in order for it to actually, percolate and have penetration into the discourse, into the minds of the broad populace. The fact that the state was complicit in these things the entire time prevents dissemination, obviously. So because you've had a prevention and dissemination, I mean, this is a niche topic, basically. I mean, other than victims and the people who, politically have reason to care about it. And the state has recognized from the beginning that this is a narrative which, because of the victimization narrative, the white victimization narrative, would empower those sections of politics which since 1945 have been gatekept out of legitimate discourse. That's the reason, and everybody here knows that is why. So now that these things are being officially promulgated, this is an alternative source. I've heard that there are some slight quibbles about accuracy or methodology here. Doesn't matter. Those will get corrected in this report or in future reports. And then those sorts of things will begin to hit home a little harder and will actually stick more. And it just comes down to the fact that, look, we've been victimized. What are we going to do about it?
Yeah, I mean, white identity politics is just, it's inevitable at this point for many reasons. I mean, not only was it explicitly racial, the kinds of attacks that these men were performing on these women, using derogatory language towards whites, like, you deserve this because you're white. Well,
yeah, the white slag. They call our women white slags because they think, white women are automatically slutty and whorish because they're white.
Yeah, which, of course, I'm sure has absolutely nothing to do with all the small hat pornographers that have been pumping this kind of propaganda into the screens of all of these people in the third world their entire lives, saying, oh, well, now we're going to release these people in the streets of our country. Yeah, I'm sure that's going to have positive results. But also, it's racial on the other hand, too, because just like the Henry Nowak case that we were talking about on the show 2 weeks ago, it's like it's racial from the stance that the police are, and the British state in general, are completely ignoring this story. They will prosecute any man. I mean, my mind comes to cases over here in the United States, but it's no different over there. Like Duke Lacrosse or whatever, complete fabrications made by the Me Too movement. You guys remember when they dragged Brett Kavanaugh into one of these, school marm hearings, basically because of a frat party he had 45 years ago or whatever. So they'll throw away a young white man's life away because, he had sex with a girl when, they were at a college frat house party or something like that, right? But the absolute most deplorable raped by dogs that some of these people are perpetrating against the youth of the young British girls in Britain, it's totally fine because they're white and the attackers are brown. Totally fine. The police will cover it up. The state will funnel more of these people in. The state will give these people preferential housing. The state will find these people jobs, and they will defend these people from being attacked by any of the strong-willed men that are still left after being killed in 2 senseless world wars at the turn of the century 100 years ago. So it's like it's racial from both sides.
You know, they knew about this in 1958 with the Notting Hill race riots, and when there was a Swedish prostitute who was being beaten by her black husband, and the white youths rose up, and there was like six days of violence, of just going at him, of just trying to do what they could. And well, what do you think happened? Lawyers like a guy named Frank Soskis, you can imagine, yes, he is, and a whole bunch of other lawyers with last names that sound familiar. This all happening in Great Britain. Started writing laws back then about how you could not talk about this. You could not make it about race. I mean, this is why it's institutional there, because this specific thing started in the 1950s.
And the response that you get from the media and the left in the UK is these ridiculous memes that everybody has seen of these various female politicians going, well, actually, he's actually a Sudanese, not a Somalian, so checkmate, bigot. Well, actually, he's here legally, not illegally. Checkmate, bigot. It's the only thing they have left.
I mean, that's why this ultimately is going to have to be made racial, because it doesn't matter what their nationality is. He is not white. He does not belong in our country. He does not belong in our land. This person has no reason to be here whatsoever. And, they all have to go back ultimately. And we are victims. Oh, yes. We have been victimized. We tried everything in the legitimate manner of politics to try to stop it. That was sublimated. That was put underneath the barrier. That was not allowed into the open. You did everything in your power to stop all discussion of these matters. It was you. You do not have the right to rule over us anymore, period, because of this. End of story.
Yeah. And all they can catch you on is on these ridiculous technicalities, because the average Joe normie in our country, in Canada, in Australia, in New Zealand, in the UK, all of them just cannot possibly perceive the fact that all of the hordes of browns from various third world countries are here in our country at the behest of the people in charge. They think this betrayal, this complete destruction of our heritage, our norms, our very lives has been done because the people in charge wanted it to. We were never asked. People just assumed, oh, this must be done illegally. Nobody would have possibly destroyed us, our own people, our own politicians, our own governments, wanted to destroy our heritage, our people, our countries. They have to assume it has to be done illegally. Otherwise, their minds literally break. And this is like the leftist trap that they set for you. Actually, it was done legally. And it's like, well, fuck you if it was done legally. But it's going to be legal when we remove them. How about that?
He who saves his country breaks no law.
Yeah.
Damn right.
Yeah.
Well, there's a very important election going on in the UK today, this Makerfield by-election. We'll see what happens as the numbers come rolling in over the next day or two. And I'll be very interested to hear what a lot of our friends over at the Lotus Eaters have to say about that. And to all of our British friends over there, I hope Rupert Lowe can pull it off. That's all I have to say about it. Okay. Moving right along then to our final story of the evening. So we were dealing with some pretty hard, heavy-hitting geopolitical issues throughout the last little bit here, but this last one takes something a little bit closer to home here. All right, and it really just shows you the totality of the organized Jewish state that we are subjected to in so many places. I mean, listen, everybody out there, I'm sure tons of people in this chat are having a hell of a time trying to find a job in this day and age, sending out thousands upon thousands of applications. I'm sure people get ridiculous ads bombarded at them via like LinkedIn, Indeed, or what have you for obviously fake AI jobs or whatever. The economy's not in a good shape, right? So let's turn to this story of a young guy by the name of Austin Franco. All right. So why are we talking about this guy? Why is this important at all? Right. Well, I'm going to tell you guys. So this character, Austin Franco, young 20s guys, just fresh out of school, looking to get his way into the workforce. You know how that was generally what all Americans were told. Young guys, go to college, go get yourself a job. All right. So let's see. Young kid from Cornell decides to respond to a ad on Handshake, I guess, is like the new LinkedIn for Zoomers apparently or something. I don't know about this thing, but he just
you walk in there, you look them in the eye, and give them a firm handshake.
Oh, God, that makes it sound so horrible now. No, I hate this app. I declare holy war on this app. I hate it. I hate it so much. Of course, that they would name something like this Handshake for. Oh my God, I hate it. I hate it so much. Anyway, so this guy decided to respond to one of these various recruiters. Interestingly enough, this one was at Palantir. Interestingly enough, saying, "No, thanks, not interested in working for a Jew." So, in normal times, to a normal person who receives a response from this, would be like, "Oh, okay, well, kind of a rude kid. Probably don't want to hire him. Okay, fine. His application gets thrown in the shredder. That's terrible, right?" And normally that would be the end of it, right? But no, of course not. We had to declare holy war on this kid. We had to hunt him down. We had to get the DOJ Anti-Semitism Action Group involved to shut his kids down, destroy a young 24-year-old guy who's just trying to get into the workforce, all because he, decided to respond against the favorite group, on a job application of all places. This guy is just a nobody. This guy isn't some famous politician or something, or some famous celebrity or anything like that. He's just a little kid who decided to do something kind of edgy, and therefore we need to get the DOJ involved to make sure he never gets hired in a job ever again. The point that we have to make here is just the absolute totality of all of this stuff. Yeah, here he is, Leo Terrell. Yep, there you go, beep. Yeah, who used to work for the NAACP, so he's just a professional black guy. That's his gig. And somehow he's in the Trump administration, tone policing young kids who are trying to get into the workforce because they say a joke about Jews, in their response. So it's like, can we make the Jew hater famous and make him permanently unemployable? An arm of the United States government is advocating for one of their best young and brightest to be unemployable. What the fuck are we doing here, man?
Dude, you know what just happened? What just happened to me?
What happened?
Craziest shit ever. My fire alarm started beeping.
Excellent.
Oh no. That's a subspecies of ceiling bird. They're migratory.
Just perfect. No, I mean, it's just, are you shocked?
This asshole is in the left panel here. He's like, actually, yeah, if we're gonna get this anti-Semite, checkmate, bigot.
Yeah, I'm sorry, the cabbage head is not hiding the eye to ear ratio either. So, yeah. I don't even know what to say about this. It's just, you would think that it's like, they say that they just go, oh, the mask slips. Like every single day now, they just rip the mask off, and they expect you to be like, oh, to feel sorry for them. Like, we're doing this because if we don't destroy this kid's life, there'll be another Halabunga. Yeah.
It's literally that.
I don't care anymore.
It's literally that old. I think it's a Norm Macdonald joke about how So the man was fired from his job for saying that Jews control the media, and it's just again, one of those things where it's like they just prove the kid's point by literally doing the thing. Well, it's like any other group of people would have just been like, okay, fine. I mean, maybe the blacks would have reacted in such a way, but that's basically because they've been getting so many gives from doing this shit for so long. Do you guys remember that NASCAR guy tried to get like publicity by saying there was a noose in his garage and was literally the fucking handle for the garage? Well, so they get spoiled in the same way. But there literally just can be nothing. There could be no dissent. This is an absolute totalizing worldview. Any criticism of this joke, any jokes about this group, anything whatsoever that puts even one of them slightly uncomfortable, we just have to go complete DEFCON 1, blow them all up, destroy their lives, salt the land where the crops grow, shoot every cow in the face, remove all them, take out every plank of wood, remove every nail from where the house used to stand. It's just they are in total war all the time. Just completely unacceptable behavior from these people.
I mean, and if this kid didn't do it as a joke or something like that, it would really go to show you just how far the shift has happened.
Just the fact that he did the joke at all, it's the same thing we've been
Yeah.
talking about on this show. I mean, like people try to tell you in the online right spaces, it's like, oh, well, talking about Jews is something that only Candace Owens does. It's like, shut the fuck up, man. Just stop. This is just so unbelievably mainstream now.
Yeah, it's something that normies are making the jokes, and random people are trying to J-pill people like in normal conversation, which is kind of wild. I mean, it's kind of insane, but we have the internet now. Back in Russia in the 19th century, you just got together and you talked to people. Now people can just like stay in their house and be like, oh, these are murderous psychopaths. Oh, pornography. Oh, banking. Oh, Hollywood. Oh, abortion. Oh, the civil rights era. World War I, World War II. Oh, seems like there's a pattern here. They don't even have to leave their house to learn that.
Well, tend a little bit on a white pill on this story, though, is that this guy has making the rounds, and apparently a bunch of people are finding him a gig really quick. I mean, I know some people have been like kind of cynical on this one, saying, oh, this seems like too perfectly staged or what have you. And yeah, it doesn't quite exactly pass the smell test 100% for me either. But, I think the worst interpretation you can have from this, in my opinion, is that, okay, so some Zoomer kid basically had to find a way to filter his resume through the complete sludge that is the American corporate world at this point. And he thought the best way to do that was to try and get a job from various people on right-wing Twitter. It's like, okay, man. I mean, can you really like hate the player in the way the economy is right now? My thought with this was like, damn, good on that kid. That was smart. Alrighty. So just a little bit of an interesting story to end the night on then. So, all right, fellas, let's power through some super chats here, and then we will call it a night, and everybody can enjoy their Thursdays, and we'll see what goes on over the weekend as it relates to negotiations in this ongoing Iran war. So, from the top here, okay. Oh my goodness, unacceptable. I see Solid Snake is not at the top. This is just ridiculous. Fired immediately from his job. All right,
slipping.
I know, unacceptable. He's not getting an S grade on this level. Absolutely not. But anyway, we got Son of Aster from the new Ivy League. Always good to see him. For $5, he says, busy tonight, fellas, but it was great to see you all this weekend. There's nothing like the conference. 100% true. 100% true. And he was actually able to make it out to the after party for the first time ever because traditionally, he's been one of the early leaders. And yeah, the after party really is like the cherry on top. I mean, the conference is always amazing. We always put on a great show. It's fun, from like the first moment, but really going to the after party is something else, So, Solid Snake 1964. He's in second place tonight. He gets a silver medal, for $5. He says, "Evening, gents. Apparently was asked about at the conference to our VIP to answer everyone's questions about me. I'm just a layman of the Home Range Society. Salute." Well,
real Americans.
Maybe, yeah, indeed, you are a real American, but maybe we can squeeze you in at one of the next year's conferences or something like that, because I would like to meet old Solid Snake. And you better bring a cardboard box, because how else are we going to know it's you? City Breakdancer Man, always a super chatter's name I'm looking forward to reading. Yeah, there we go. He's a different species of ceiling bird. That's was it an African ceiling bird? For $10, he sends us a salute. You, sir, are a real American.
Real Americans.
Real Americans.
There it is.
Yeah, there it is. Hammer Rain for $10. Christopher Sandbatch, sweating, shirt unbuttoned, pounding whiskey sours, shouting about some Puerto Rican guy turning his personality into an AI and making him read it aloud. Best event of the year.
I didn't even drink that much. I did. There's like such a narrow window of time when you could say that I was holding a whiskey sour, because I did have one. I was like trying to decide, could this have possibly happened? I'm like, oh, dude, you did have a whiskey sour.
I just like, this is fun now because, I mean, people know this. If people try to like run into me at this conference, like I try to meet everybody, but there's just no way. I'm sure, like, I know I got stopped a couple times. So I was walking around like trying to do stuff, and people cornered me and gave me a handshake. It's like, oh, I just want to introduce myself, and that's all cool and everything, but now I'm just reading all these like super chat names because like I didn't get to meet everybody. So now I'm like trying to run it through my mind. It was like, oh, which guy is this? Like which guy was that? But thanks for everyone who came to the conference. And I wish I had more time to socialize, but I really don't. It's I'm just always doing something at these things. So even when we're having fun, I'm doing work. So
I was going to say that Mr. Bird and I did an episode talking about some ideas that we took away from the conference and everything. And I saw in the comments people were saying that the OGC is just basically a drinking club. And I just want to say that's exactly what we are. Go with that.
Yeah,
run with that.
Yep. I will not. Yep.
Good. Run with it, please. Yeah, that's all we do. Yep.
Heard it here first, folks. Pete Budapest for $5 says, "Frankly, I'm beyond tired with the entire Middle East. Increasingly, people are asking, when do we get to focus on building our civilization enough?" Yeah, absolutely.
Here.
Yeah, I mean, this is the crazy thing about this too is, like, again, when you try to see like these ridiculous accounts and these clowns, who were allegedly on the right, try and like push us further and further into this war, even though everybody was against it until the second it popped off. But apparently we all have to, support everything that the regime is doing because Democrats bad or something like that. That's the early reasoning. But this was a popular opinion throughout the entire United States well over 10 years ago. Okay. It wasn't like just Donald Trump who showed up on the scene and said like, oh, we should get out of the Middle East. Like, people were fatigued during Obama's second term and wanted out of there. This is a very popular opinion all throughout Trump's presidency. It was a very popular opinion all throughout Biden's, and it's still a very popular opinion to this day. Just get out of the Middle East. There is nothing there for us. Okay. Now, what if we were to just like cut Israel off entirely? Do you know, like, Manjo, you'll understand this reference. Do you know, like, Total War 3, where at Warhammer, where you can like give a city to another faction and immediately they'll just capitulate and give you like a non-aggression pact, trade agreement, everything? How about we just do that? We're just going to give Israel and immediately get trade agreements and partnerships with everybody else surrounding them in the region.
I mean, that's amazing. That's amazing, because if we did that for Israel, they still wouldn't like us very much. Chaos Dwarf physiognomy. I'll just say that. Chaos Dwarf physiognomy.
People forget that when Obama decided he wanted to get involved in Syria, that like pretty much the whole country was like, go fuck yourself. And then when Trump came in and like bombed Syria in the first 3 months he was in office, people were like, I mean, and culture ran the other way and was just like, this is not, we're not doing this. This is not what we're doing. Nobody wants to be in this. And anyone who's coping saying, well, every president has said that Iran can't have nukes. Yeah, well, every president didn't get tricked into going to war with Iran. So hopefully this can take care of itself and that this was just a that something really good is going to come out of this. And that's my hope.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the only thing that America has gotten from almost 30 years now of various operations, wars, strikes, bombings, arming of rebels all throughout the Middle East, the only thing it's gotten us is millions of Afghan migrants in the United States. That's all it's fucking gotten us. Well, the Islamic population of the United States is what, like less than 0.25% in like 2000, and now like we got entire cities being overrun by these people. Gee, thanks guys. It's really what we wanted. There you go, Pete Budapest. You win the super chat game. I'm always talking on these streams how it's like, the super chatter's main goal is to min max. He wants the most conversation to come out with the smallest dollar amount possible. So Pete Budapest, I think you min maxed your super chat on this one today. So well done. Venator for $20. I hope that's in reference to the Republic Star Cruisers from the Clone Wars. Would it be possible to get Jeff Metcalf on the show? With organizations like the CRS being disbanded, allegedly, it would be useful to expose any of these nudge units still active in the U.S. and to know how they work. I mean, like, me personally, no. I'm not particularly interested in interviewing the dead kid's dad. I don't like how the media trots these people out at all, really. And it's like, what would I ask him? It's like, yeah, it really sucks your son died. Well, no, I wouldn't really know what to say to him. Somebody else could do it though. Well, anyway, moving along. Pete Budapest again for $10. Can we finally dispense with the idea that Trump is a master negotiator or even some sort of intentional chaos agent? The guy just says and does whatever the last person he talked to says. I mean, like, I don't like these like broad terms to categorize people because it's like, listen here, man. Like, I know I'm not an expert in most things, and I'm reminded of it too when I go to like these recent conferences with people. It's like, yeah, normally I'm one of the smarter people in the room, but I go to like some of our conferences, I'm like, holy fuck, like this guy is just, an intellectual heavyweight talking circles around me. I got no idea how to follow along with this. Sam Madge starts talking about AI. I'm like, I might as well be an ape playing with like blocks or some shit, when he's talking about this.
Yeah. I resemble that remark, Mr. Hawk.
But so like these broad terms about like, oh, Trump is like, just a complete idiot and says whatever he does. I mean, like, I imagine, I don't think like most people who have ever gone in like 1 inch into politics know anything about like the geostrategic importance of like the Middle East and the various people and the players involved. Well, I mean, now it's incumbent upon you not to like just go in there and start a fucking war if you don't really know the information on there. So we can't give him any credit for that. But now I'm always nervous to have like these general terms. Like, listen, most people, especially white people in our society, do not get to positions of power just by being like ridiculously incompetent. All right, like you have to be good at least something. So I'm sure Donald Trump probably knows a lot about the media and real estate markets and acquiring deals and stuff like that. But I don't expect him to be a genius on geopolitics. That's why we have a cabinet. That's why we have people that he should be listening to, like Tucker.
I think Trump's. I think this dynamic is even worse than Pete Budapest has said. I don't think it's just the last person he talked to. I think it's the last person who flattered him. Donald Trump has a big personality. He is. He likes being told he's an awesome dude because he is an awesome dude. So the strategy is honey attracts more flies than vinegar. So I wonder if one of the reasons why we as a broad thing, includes Tucker too, by the way, have not really been successful at bending Trump's ear on this subject is not because we were wrong, but because our tone wasn't exactly matching what the president expected. Right. When it's hard to compete when Lindsey Graham is like going into Trump's ear and telling him, Mr. President, you're going to be like the next George Washington or something, like it's totally different when Tucker's like screaming at him, it's the Jews, Mr. President, it's the freaking Jews. Okay. Yeah. It's not the same. Right. We got to get better at that in managing tone with big personalities like that.
Yep. Good points. All right, moving on to Wingman for $5. The deal was signed in the same room as the Treaty of Versailles. Our Weimar days ahead. Also, JD was grown in the lab to support the neocon cause by BB.
Was he? I don't know.
Sure. Sure. My response is just like, sure, Jan. Okay. I mean, like that. All right. If you guys say so, sure. I mean, I'm not like the biggest supporter of JD Vance here or anything like this, but it's like, come on, man, you don't know, and none of us know.
I mean, JD, fortunately or unfortunately, is from the cultural segment that is the Scots-Irish contingent of America, which has not really had great representation at the presidential level for many cycles. So, like, I read his book in 2017, 2018, and yeah, okay, that's, the book that you write before the presidency, but he seems genuine. I don't have any reason to believe he's not.
Yeah, I mean, more or less. So, many use sushi for $10. On 2 separate occasions, I had a sunrise chat with normies about Jays. One was a boomercon, and the other was a hicklib. Both of them were J-pilling hardcore. The plebs have started to really notice. Very true. Very true indeed. All of us have been reporting this for the last year, especially. Well, so Seasider for $10 sends us a salute as he does every week. You sir are a real American.
Real Americans.
Thank you. Pete Budapest once again. Boy, you're winning the super chat war tonight, my friend, aren't you? For $5, he says, you say, where else can they go? They can't help but go for broke. So they'll back more radical fronts and tribesmen, Cruz, Cotton, Ossoff, and Shapiro et al. Yeah, I mean, these people are just, they're rabid at the mouths for this stuff. The people who've been against Trump the entire time, except when he starts dropping bombs for Israel, are now against Trump again because he's no longer dropping bombs for Israel. Who could have predicted this? Well, I mean, my only hope is that, I want people to, kind of, a person who actually has done a very good job, almost kind of like a masterclass in all of this, has been Tucker Carlson, basically. It's like, in a situation like this, attack the king's advisors, don't attack the king, in the sense of, well, if Donald Trump is going to get us out of this war, it's kind of the same thing we were talking about in there. It's like, I don't really care if he has to lie to the American people to save face on this one, just get us out of the war. Well, it's like the real enemy here, even though Donald Trump has a lot to blame for getting into the war in the first place, he didn't have to listen to these people. But the real people who need to be blamed for this are the fucking liars and manipulators who were pushing for this war for a very long time. Okay. Those are the actual traitors to the country. Americans in positions of power in this government whose job is to represent the American people and give the president of the United States good advice on when and where to get involved in various foreign conflicts are obviously in the pocket and the pay of a foreign power. And the traitors should be treated as traitors should be. Moving right along here to Bolero 393 for $10. He says, on the orders of Pedro Quinones, I will super chat on American spirits from now on. Too bad Necasero Lopez didn't take Cuba.
Narciso.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, you can tell I don't live around Spanish speakers and Mexicans, as being a northerner. I can't speak your guttural language. Fuck off. Pete could have been our based president.
Is he speaking to my dad from the grave, Pedro Quinones?
Bolero393 with $50 super chat tonight. Well, thank you very much, sir. Now you're definitely in the lead for contributor of the night. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. For $50, he says, British girls are not meat. Their brothers, fathers, cousins, and uncles need to look around and act. Their government is there to protect those girls. If not for that, why do they pay taxes? To watch their daughters get violated? Yeah, I mean, well, that's the question, right? For all of our countries, throughout the Anglo world, it's like, what are our governments even for? Apparently, just the rape and exploitation of their native populations at this point.
I mean, this is true. I mean, what else other conclusion can you come to with all of this? And this is the problem of legitimacy, right? The government at least in our conception, has and this is even an Aristotelian definition of tyranny, by the way, when you have a government that brings in another foreign population or uses foreign soldiers to oppress the population that it rules over. That is, the Aristotelian definition of tyranny. So if you're a second-class citizen in your own land and your government isn't responding to your cries for justice and is using group justifications to avoid accountability and justice at the individual level, well, you can only assume that you are being judged as a group and that there is nothing for it, and you have to find a new form of government, whatever it takes. And I'll just say this real quick. There is no more, at least from an American perspective, there is no more American narrative than to free yourself from a foreign hostile power using military means, right? That is the story of the American Revolution.
Damn right.
And let us not forget that here, during the Biden administration, there were people in prison for Jan 6 who were being watched over and guarded by foreign nationals.
May the spell that rules over the entire world be broken. Bolero393 once again for $10. He says, we need many Zoomer and Alpha memes stating we were never asked. Yeah, that's a good one.
I mean, as far as I am aware, the Zoomer and Alpha memes are like Hitler edits on TikTok.
Many use sushi for $10. There are now more Muslims in the United States, 4.5 million, than there are people in 24 of America's states. Wow, really? Wow. Replacement migration is real, and it has serious consequences. Damn, when you put it that way. I mean, well, I guess that makes sense. I mean, like a lot of the states, like those Western ones, it's real big out there, and there's not many people. I mean, I think most of the Western states don't even have 1 million people in them. Like, Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, there's not even 1 million people in those states. That's crazy. The amount of betrayal and the vengeance that is entirely justified against people who have done this to us. Man, oh man. Pete Budapest for another $5. Happy 1-year anniversary of the Tucker Carlson cruise interview. Oh, wow. Interesting. I didn't know that was a year ago. A reminder that the system selects for the most neurotic oddball weirdos, feature not a bug. Yeah, it's very true. They're the easiest to control that way. God, just think about how far we've moved in 1 year on that issue since the Tucker Cruise interview. That's crazy. That I just had that locked away in my mind. That was like 2 or 3 years ago. 1 year. That's crazy.
We have a very specific timeline for achieving critical mass of consciousness among normiedom. Like the information pipeline, when it comes from the more dissident segments of the right, it takes about a year or two. I'd say actually rephrase that. That's probably more like 18 months to 2 years, if we're being really honest. A year is like if world events totally cooperate in our favor. But what we do have is a very specific timeline that can be reliably counted upon for planning purposes.
Yeah, very, very interesting point. Very interesting data.
And interesting, just to back that up, think about our earlier conversation this stream of the 2 years between 2001 and 2003 in the Iraq invasion. So going fuzzy, so I don't know what's going on. But anyway, yeah, so you can see what I'm talking about, right? There's a very specific timeline, a very specific pathway to information saturation, which is good news because even if you are a movement that does not have the institutional levers of power, or even if you do, there are still very, very specific timelines of how to get your narrative, your story to actually stick.
This is a good point. People should listen to our friend Raging Mandrill. He's got a lot to contribute and a lot to offer. So, very, very smart points. All right. Vulpes Persona for $20. A month ago, a truckload of guys waiting at the light in front of the farmer's market I was working were hardcore mentioning leaning out the windows. I gave them a thumbs up and an amen. There you go. Good old boys are out there. And then we got Pete Budapest for another $5. The encore of this saga will be Chuck Schumer warning Trump that Mossad has 10 ways to Sunday of getting even with you, and as Boober libs cheer. Yeah, I mean, well, undoubtedly, that's it. I mean, Israel's going to be pulling out all the dirty and nasty tricks that they are known for. And as we know with this group of people, they have absolutely no moral qualms whatsoever about doing literally anything, the most vile things imaginable, to people that are not of their own tribe. So, expect all of the dirty plays to come out of that playbook over the weekend and the next day. And as I said before, it would not be the 250th anniversary of America is coming up, and that is just it's a symbolic opportunity for some very nefarious people to do something. So if people are going about to various 4th of July parties and everything like that, just keep your head on a swivel out there. Go enjoy yourself, set off some fireworks, but stay strapped out there, fellas. So, all right, that is it for the super chats. Let's get around and do some final shillings for the evening. Mr. Pete, what do you have coming up, and where can people find you?
Oh, Pete Quinones show, and make sure to watch American Spirits every Monday night. I am not on it, but it is the most important show, so do that.
Yep, absolutely. The sad irony being is that the least important show that we put out is the one that gets the most views. Maybe people just like you and me so much, Pete. Maybe that's why.
I'm totally sure that's it.
Yeah. Mr. Sambatch, in addition to people buying your lovely book of poetry, where can people find more of your stuff, and how can they support you?
I'm on Ecologica Americana at the Slubstank. I actually think I have a promotion going. You get like a full year for like half off right now, and I'm still I'm like literally still recovering from that conference. So I'm like, fuck, you mean I got to show something? I don't have anything else to show right now. Working on some internal stuff, some inside the org stuff.
Yeah. Well, Sam Batch is a great guy, has a lot to offer, and everyone go listen to Library of Mass Destruction on Capital East.
Yeah, we'll be back with that on Monday.
Yeah. Everyone be sure to listen to LMD. Mr. Mandrill, where can people find more of your stuff, sir?
Substack. I want to do more writings there in future. It has been too long since I have put something out on my own channel. Speaking of Substack content, I think if I could ask for permission to take my talk down from out behind the paywall from last year, I don't know. It might be time to do that, given the subject material of some of the other talks from this year. I had some interesting conversations with, Ron Dodson and Mr. Green of all people about some of the questions lurking in the wings, perhaps you might say. And that's why these conferences are so necessary. But I think one of the interesting conversations was the age-old question, not just universalism versus particularism, but of objectivism versus subjectivism, right? And this is if you all remember Bowden's talk of, well, what's good for one is not necessarily, we do what's good for us and not necessarily what's bad for the others. That sort of line is something that's of interest, given Dodson and Aaron's talk. And the other thing is I guess war and peace issues, right? And so I have a couple of chapters from a book called Of Arms and Men by Robert L. O'Connor, who I think was involved in, it was either Reagan or Carter's administration, and a really fascinating take on weapons technology and the development over time. And mostly it's a kind of an evolutionary sort of description of war. And there were some residual questions between myself and Mr. Green, the distributist, about how these things function. I basically said, look, what are you going to do with this one nation, who's obviously more particular and subjective to their own worldview? How are you going to bring them to the peace table in an international body like the UN? And Mr. Green, being much more of a believer in international institutions, by his background and nature, seemed to, we had an interesting back and forth. I'll just say that, and I don't think it's fully resolved by any means. And so I have several chapters of that book, the most pertinent ones, already up and available on my YouTube channel. So if I could shill those, they're up there for free. Go watch those if you're interested in listening about distinctions in warfare and different types, because there are several different types. Anyway, but yeah, go check out my Substack.
All right, always be sure to support fellow friends. And every time we get through the shillings, there's always some last minute super chats that come in just under the wire. People are just so desperate to keep us on the air just a little bit longer. They can't be without us for even a moment. So Bolero 393.
As long as I want to keep paying, I'll keep dancing.
Bolero 393 for another $10 says the real Chuck Schumer would have to have been much more Julius Stryker to draw in a cartoon. Reality is more anti-desert group than propaganda. Yeah, really. Let's see. Ski Bum 220 for $50. Thank you very much, sir. You are indeed a real American. He says, salute the OGC. Thank you, sir. Real American. And let's see. And last $10 is from the only woman who listens to this show, Miss Dawn Browning. She sends us a $10 super sticker, as she does every week. And this one is a anthropomorphic hippo giving us a thumbs up and tilting his head backwards, or tilting his hat backwards on his head. He's not an owl.
Thanks,
all right. Thank you, Miss Dawn Browning. Appreciate it. Okay. That is it for the super chats. That is it here for PER this week. We'll be back next week to discuss the goings on in the news. Check out American Spirits on Monday. Check out Chapter House on Wednesday. Salute the OGC. Join your local chapter. We're going to win.
When I pass on my good genes to my sons, they're going to join the Old Glory Club.